everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney, and today I've got another tutorial for you. For those of you that don't know, it is, so my style for this month is jeans, and I am one of the leaders for this month. So I've got a few tutorials that are going to be going up to hopefully help you make your pair of jeans during the month. And today I am going over an exposed button fly, excuse me. It would help if I had these buttoned up. So basically, I was gonna do this tutorial and the regular button fly, which is like a hidden button fly, I guess. There's the exposed. But the tutorials got kind of long, so I decided to break them up into two separate tutorials. So today, yes, we'll be learning all about how to do an exposed fly, exposed button fly on any pair of pants, really. So yeah, leave me any comments or questions that you have down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video, if you like this kind of content, so I can plan better going forward, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Okay, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye. All right, guys, we are going to do an exposed button fly. So this means there will be no flap that covers the buttons. You'll be able to see the buttons just right on the front of these shorts in this case. These are the Dawn jeans, and I'm making the shorts version. Okay, so first things first, the pieces you're going to need for this are your fronts, and I have serged, you can hardly see that, but I have serged the crotch curve on both front pieces. I haven't done the pockets or anything yet. This is just the front pieces as cut. And then you're going to need the fly extension and the fly, which I believe for the Dawn jeans are pieces 7 and 8. Now, she doesn't say to do this, but I go ahead and I've interfaced the back of my fly extension and the back of my fly. Now, the only piece that you're not going to need is I think it's called the button extension, which you will only need that if you're doing the hidden button fly, and I'll show you that here in a little bit as well. But this is the exposed button fly. So these are the only two pieces we need. So to start, and again, I've interfaced this piece and this piece. So to start, I'm going to put right sides together, this extension, and I'm going to sew just at 1/4 inch right here along the bottom. Then I'm going to turn it right side out, once it's been sewn, right side out, and I'm just going to serge the outside edge of this, and I'm going to serge the outside, the curved edge of this piece. I'm not going to trim anything off, I'm just serging to finish. So I'm going to go do that real quick, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Alright, so this is what we've got. We have our fly extension that I have sewn just the bottom, right sides together, and turned it right side out. And then I finished the edge with a serge. This edge is folded over here, so this was the raw edge that's been finished with the serge, and I tied off the end and kind of tucked my tails back in along the serge line there. And then on my fly, I've just serged all around, got a little crazy there, but serged all the way around this curved edge here. So now we are ready to sew into the pants. All right, so we're going to put the fly aside for now. We're going to be working on, this is the right side of the shorts, the right side when worn. So this is face up right now. This is right side up. And we're going to take our extension, which is the piece that is folded in half and been serged. And we are going, so we've got a serged edge here on the shorts and a serged edge here on this fly extension. We are going to line them up, and we're going to sew at 1/4 inch all the way down to the end of the fly extension. And then she wants you to clip 1/4 inch into the seam allowance right underneath here. So what I like to do is continue this 1/4 inch seam down just a little bit, so that when I'm clipping in right underneath this fly extension, I've got a little bit of a barrier there with kind of like a line of stay stitching. So I continue my 1/4 inch past the fly extension, because it'll all be in the seam allowance when all is said and done. So I continue just a little bit, just at 1/4 inch, just past a little, so that when I clip right here, again, there's like a little wall of stitching there. So I'm going to go sew that real quick, and I'll come right back. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here and show you. It's really hard to see the stitching line, but I've sewn right here at 1/4 inch all the way down here, and you can see I've continued just a little bit past. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to clip right underneath this fly extension right to my stitching line. So I will do that. Sorry, this is hard to film and do this at the same time. Okay. Now the reason for that little clip there, let's zoom back out, is so that now we are going to press this like so, and the idea is that that stays up like this. Okay, so now we're going to press our fly extension out. So our seam allowance is going to be going towards the shorts. So we're going to press really nicely. Seam allowance again is going that way. And then we are going to top stitch from the bottom of this fly extension 2 rows of top stitching on either side of this seam. So I'm going to do that real quick and I will be right back. All right, so now our right front, right as worn, looks like this. We've got the fly extension is been sewn on and pressed. I have one line, I think I said 2 lines earlier, it's just one line of top stitching really close to that seam line. I've clipped in just 1/4 inch into my seam here, down here, because we're going to sew the inseams together at this point. So now our right front is, for right now, is ready to go. So now we're going to set this one aside and get our left front. All right, so here is our left front, right side up. And now what we're going to do is right side, sorry, again, hard to do. All right, right sides together. I'm going to sew my fly to that edge, but I'm going to sew this at 5/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to sew all the way down 5/8 of an inch, and we're going to clip this one too. So I'm going to continue my 5/8 of an inch just a little bit past here, so that when I clip in right here, it I've got a little barrier that's right there below this. So again, right sides together. This is the fly, and this is the left front. I'm going to sew 5/8 of an inch all the way down, just a little past this back stitch. And then I'm going to clip in right at the base of this to that 5/8 mark. All right, be right back. All right, I've got to turn this upside down just so I can do this right-handed while I'm filming. But I've sewn this all the way 5/8, and I've sewn just a little bit past and backstitch there. So now, again, oh, sorry, haven't done anything yet. Sorry, this is really hard to do. I'm going to clip into this seam allowance right to that stitching right at the base of the extension. All right. Now, I'm actually going to open this up because I think I get a crisper edge, and I'm going to actually press this seam open. Try not to steam my lens up. Okay. All right, so I've pressed that seam open, and now I'm going to press my fly to the wrong side, and I want that seam right there to favor the inside of the shorts as much as possible. I may need to clip just a hair more so that this seam allowance lies flat, but I'm going to press that. I might be able just to finagle. All right, so now I'm going to press that, oops, and try not to fog up my screen. All right. Oops. Okay, see, I favored that a little too much. All right, and now would also be a good time to use the clapper. Sorry if I'm making anyone seasick. I have a hard time filming these things on the tripod just because I want to be able to get in and show you what I'm doing. Again, I'm an amateur videographer and photographer, so bear with me, I'm sorry. Doing my best. All right. So there we have it. The seam just favors the inside. All right, so this is the wrong side of the jeans. So now I'm gonna flip this right side over. And now there's a couple ways that you can do this. I personally just wing it because I can feel, actually in this white denim I can even see where the fly is. Actually that kind of bothers me a little bit, although there'll be a pocket when all is said and done, which will help mask this a little bit. But what you want to do, and you can baste, again, hand based, machine based, whatever, but you're going to do your top stitching, and this is the top stitching that is what you see on the outside of the pants. So you're going to do a line of top stitching all around this fly, and then you're going to go back and do a second line of top stitching. Okay? And I will meet you right back here as soon as I've done that. All right, so as you can see, I've got it top stitched all the way down. So now, again, this is my left front. I'm going to go ahead and do my buttonholes now before we've even sewn the fronts together. And this is where your buttonhole fly comes in handy because you can just use this. Now remember, you've lost your 5/8 seam allowance, so you're going to want to scoot it over 5/8. But you can go ahead and mark your buttonhole placement now, and then go ahead and sew your 3 buttonholes with your top stitching thread onto your left piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly, and then I will be right back. All right, so this is what we've got. We have our right front, which is actually, it's right when it's on the right side when it's worn. Again, the fly extension, we've got it top stitched here. We've clipped just 1/4 inch right now, right there. Then on our left front as worn, we have our top stitching done, our fly is sewn on, and I've gone ahead and sewn and cut my 3 buttonholes right there. And then we've got this clipped to 5/8 inch. So now we are going to put these right sides together, and we are going to sew. Clearly I'll be doing this with 2 hands, not just one. But yes, you're going to pin this together, and you're going to sew it 5/8 of an inch all the way down here. And then we are going to clip to that 5/8 of an inch here. Well, I'll come back and show you. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Sew your 5/8 of an inch here at the inseam, and then I will come right back. Again, these are right sides together. Okay. So now I've sewn the rest of the inseam at 5/8 of an inch, and now I want to just take my scissors, and we've already got, oh, sorry. We've already got this, this one is already clipped to 5/8 of an inch, but the back one is not. So I'm just going to very carefully clip to my stitching line right there. And now, let me do that first, and then I'll talk. Okay, now the instructions, sorry, just flipping things over here. So we're on the wrong side of the shorts. Now the instructions want you just to go ahead and then press this seam, because you've already finished your seam allowance there. So it wants you to go ahead, press your seam to the left, and then, you know, top stitch down on the front, which we'll do in just a second. But I actually find this to be a little bulky, so I'm actually going to go back to my serger, and I'm going to serge these 2 seams together and trim them down just a little bit as I do that, because the less seam allowance you've got right there, the better it lays against your body. So I'm going to go do that real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and press, and then our last step, well, not the last step, but then we're going to sew our top stitching here on the right side, and it will bar tack. There we go. We will sew our top stitching on the right side, and we'll come up and do some top stitching up a little bit, and then we're going to do our bar tacks, and then you just have to set your buttons and we're done. So we're almost to the finish. So yeah, I'm just going to go back and serge these two together, and then I'm going to press it to one side, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the top stitching and the buttons, which are the last step. All right, so I've got that serged. You can see I've trimmed it a little closer, and I've pressed everything to the left when worn. So it's all pressed towards our buttonholes and that kind of thing. Because now I'm going to do, trying to open up the crotch here a little bit for you. I'm going to take a line of top stitching, and I'm going to go right, about a 1/16 of an inch away from the seam line. White balance, white balance. And then I'm going to come up very carefully. Make sure that these are laid really nicely on top of one another. But I'm going to come up, I'm going to go actually a little bit above this top stitching, and then I'm going to go over and come back down to the end. And then once I've done that, we'll come back and I'll show you where I'm going to place my bar tacks, and then I will show you where I like to place my buttons, and then we'll be done. So I'll be right back. All right, so here's my front. I've got my top stitching, and I've gone up, around. You can kind of go up as high as you want, but this keeps these two layers together really nicely on the front. I'll show you the back here when we're all finished and said and done. But now I'm going to do a bar tack right along this top part, and I'm going to do a bar tack right in through here. Now, a bar tack is just a really short and tight zigzag. My home machine actually does an actual bar tack stitch, so you may check on your owner's manual to see if your machine will do that. Sometimes when you're using the heavier jeans top stitching thread, though, it gets really bulky, and machines don't like that. Again, I'm just using the same thread I'm making the jeans, because I didn't want my top stitching thread to stand out on this pair. So I'm going to use a bar tack here, but you can just adjust, test some samples and see what kind of a zigzag you want. Really short and tight zigzag, but again, right here and right here. So I'm going to go do that really quick. Again, if you're having issues, this gets bulky right in through here, you just knock the living daylights out of it with your mallet. It really helps to flatten that. So yeah, I'm going to go put my bar tacks in, and then I'll show you where I'm going to place my buttons. All right, my bar tacking is completed. Focus. Okay, I've done a bar tack there and a bar tack right here. So now it's just time to set my buttons. Now, when you're setting your buttons, you want to put a pen, focus, through the buttonhole to mark the spot, but you want that button set that button in really close to this edge, because if you don't, this will pull over. Ask me how I know. This will pull over when worn, and you'll be able to see this line of top stitching, and you don't want to be able to see that. So you really want the button as close, the hole for the shank of the button as close to this, the seam as you can get it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my 3 buttons, and then I will come back and we'll be done, and I'll show you the back and everything. All right. All right, and there we go, an exposed button fly. Now, do as I say, not as I do. I was hammering these on a concrete floor, and I've totally scuffed my buttons. Put down some fabric or something there on the ground so that you're not scuffing your button. I'm not too upset about it, but yeah. So anyway, there is an exposed button fly. I told you I'd show you the back. And there it is from the back. There's your fly extension there that has your buttons on it, and then the fly that has the buttonholes. Your bar tacks are down. Yeah, it's all ready to go. So next I will show you how to do a hidden button fly. And I have a zip fly already on my channel. Alrighty.